Hello there and welcome back. Well, it's deal wheel time. We're going to spin that wheel. Let's see where it lands. Because for this hour and this hour only, wherever the wheel chooses to stop is the deal that you will have for this hour. And that's the thing, it's just for the hour, so you have to take advantage while you've got the opportunity. Now, oh my word, we hit on a good one there. We have got a brand new company launching here at Hochanda during this hour, and we've got a 10% discount. Boom! Deal 10 is the code that you need. And that means that when you're placing your order for anything during this hour, quote that code and you'll get a 10% saving, which is brilliant because with these kits, that's a considerable amount of saving. And of course, all those goodies are going to be added into your basket. Of course, all the terms and conditions and all the information that you need is there on your screen, but do check out the website for more. And it is our Deal Wheel event. And as I said, a brand new company. I'm incredibly excited about this because we've got a lovely story coming up about the company that we're going to be introducing to you. And we've got a lovely set here. So it's kind of like a partnership. We've got Rachel's of Greenfield being the actual company, but it goes so much more than that. We're going to get really personal with this company. It's really nice because we've got a lot of heritage with this company and a lot of kind of personal interaction. And we've got the lovely Sue here. And it's Sue that is here is going to be demonstrating on behalf of Rachel and Kenny. Hi, Sue. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Hayley. Very well, thank you.
Now, this is all very exciting because you've got a brand new company, some beautiful products, which do urge you to go and have a little look on the website before we get into the products. But I think it's important that we kind of learn a little bit more about Sue. Sue, you're Sue. I know all about you. I don't need to know any more about you. But about Rachel and Kenny. Now, tell me about them and tell me about the company.
I will do. Well, how I'm associated with Rachel and Kenny, we go back many years, and I first started Daisy Chain Designs back, I think, in about 1998. And can you believe this, Hayley? In the days before the internet. Can you remember? Such a lifetime ago. And I was just at the point of starting up Daisy Chain Designs. And how I started my company was I was lucky enough to travel through the States on a few holidays. And my husband worked out there for a small amount of time. And so I was into patchwork and quilting. And I used to go to a lot of quilt shops. And I noticed there were lots of patterns in the shops. And at the time in the UK, there were really hardly any patterns at all. If you wanted to buy a pattern, you would have to go, or if you wanted something, you have to really buy a book or be taught. So there were very few patterns in the world. So I thought when I was starting my business, I know what I'll do. I'll specialise in patterns. So I gathered patterns as I was travelling around on holiday and in quilt shops. And Rachel and Kenny's was one of the first companies that caught my eye. And I wrote to them and put a stamp on to the USA and said,
oh, gosh.
Please, do you remember those things? Would you possibly consider wholesaling your beautiful patterns and kits to my business? And luckily they said, yes, they would. And from there, we started sort of to liaise quite often, and I would obviously buy from them. And then a few years later, I was lucky enough to be at Houston, where they had a stand at the quilt show there, and I met them properly for the first time, and we just clicked and got on very, very well. And over the years, our friendship has endured. And so when they were obviously approached by Hochanda to come onto the show, because they live in the USA, they asked if I would represent them this morning.
And I can't think of a better person, somebody who knows them so well, to actually bring their products to us. Now, very quickly, I'm going to show you some of these products, I think, just so you know exactly what you're buying into, and we'll learn a little bit more, maybe see some photos of kind of the whole ethos behind the company. But what we've got for you is one item number, which you've got on your screen already, but you've got 4 different options. And this is the beauty and the gorgeousness of this is that you've got your kit. All you really need to add in is your thread and then a pair of scissors just to help you along the way, and obviously your sewing machine, although you could be hand stitching these if you wanted to. Now they're all on the same item number, so you can see you've got your succulents there, you've got your spotty hen, you've got your cat stack, which I love, you've got those little cats all snuggling up together, and you've got the most beautiful set here with Sue and Sam. And with these kits, I mean, there's loads within here. Let me show you the finished article with regards to the succulents. I mean, there's so much within these kits, Sue, and I mean, it must take them ages to get these kits together, but I understand that they're working with the local community with this.
They do pride themselves very much on the fact that they work with a local charity. I think it's called the Lighthouse charity, and basically what that means is people who have special needs or disabilities who can't possibly work in, I would say, under a circumstance of being able to go out and work, but are willing and wanting to work, and Rachel and Kenny provide this. So what this charity does is it takes people with all different sort of abilities or disabilities, and they help to put the kits together, and Rachel and Kenny are very happy because they get paid for it as well. So it's absolutely fantastic that they work in the community. And what Rachel and Kenny have sometimes said to me is, you know, some people can really possibly only manage to fold a piece of felt in half, and it might take them a little while to do it, but you know what, they're happy to do it, and they pass it on to the next person who might be able to do a little bit more or a little bit less.
A whole
and
team
so they
effort.
put together these kits, which is just lovely.
And I love that because it's getting everybody involved, proper community project, which is lovely. And you're getting so much. I mean, you're getting all the different pieces for your applique. This one's the succulents that I'm sharing with you, as you can see here. So you've got your fabric that's going to create your piece that you're going to be creating. Then obviously you're going to have your backing. That is included. You've even got your wadding or your batting in there as well. So everything is there. Now you've got obviously your fabrics, you've got your felt in there, you've even got your threads, but most importantly you have got your comprehensive instructions in there as well. And this is the key thing. You are going to get everything in there for you to create your 13 by 15 inch project. Now of course, as we mentioned, they are overseas, so we have got a little bit of extended delivery with this one. It's only a week, it's only 8 days, so really good that you're going to be able to get your hands on these so quickly. And this is the first one. This is your succulents. Now the next one that we've got is the one that we're going to see Sue working with, which I think is so gorgeous. The Spotty hen, and you've already found our little Spotty hen, and 10% of the stock has gone already. Again, all the fabrics, beautiful fabrics in here, and the quality of these, absolutely incredible. From somebody who knows their fabrics, then you are going to love these. And you can see here all the fabrics come together with that wonderful applique panel to create your little Spotty hen piece. And there's a lot of detail within here. I love this. You kind of got your mummy hen and your little baby chick down there, or the other chicks in waiting up on the shelf there. Absolutely beautiful. It's a lovely set, and the fabrics are beautiful.
It's lovely. All of the applique is wool felt, which is just beautiful to work with. It's like sewing through butter. It's lovely.
Absolutely gorgeous. Now, I know with this particular piece, you wanted us to draw attention to the back as well. I mean, this looks beautiful. A little bit of hand quilting.
Yes, and what I was going to say, Hayley, which I think is fantastic, is for anybody who's a little bit nervous, who hasn't sewn anything before, or would like a little complete project. That's why these kits always do so very well when I've sold them at quilt shows previously, is because everything is there for you to have a try at. So there's some piecing. You can do it either by hand or on the machine. You've got applique, again, by hand or on the machine, a little bit of embroidery, and then you can actually spend some time having a go at hand quilting, which I know for a lot of people is a little bit daunting, and then you finish the quilt off with a sweet little binding. So they are absolutely perfect little kits.
And these are fabulous kits because everything you've gone through there are kind of the fundamentals of quilting. So your piecing is where you're putting those squares and rectangles together. You've got your applique, you've got your embroidery, you've got your binding, you're learning about getting the wadding in place, the backing, quilting the whole thing together. So this is a lovely, it always reminds me of the Victorian samplers. You know how they used to do the cross stitches and a kind of example of their work. This will cover everything that you need to do with regards to a larger grade quilt as well. So you could be getting this as your first quilting project to see whether you actually enjoy quilting, rather than getting involved with a quilt kit to create a quilt only to find after the first half an hour that you never want to do it again, which I don't think will be the case with these, but it gives you the opportunity to try it in a very affordable way. Now £26.99 is your price on this one, but cast your mind back. We spun that wheel, didn't we? So deal 10 means that you're going to be saving a further £2.69 if you're placing your order for these during this hour. It's the only hour that we've got dedicated to Rachel's of Greenfield, so do make sure you're placing your order in this hour and take advantage of that saving. So yeah, if you're wanting that one, that is your Spotty hen. We've got another couple of sets to share with you, so perhaps little pussycats are your thing, and this is a beautiful one. I mean, this one, they are literally scrambling. I love the way this one's at the top there. I'm not quite sure whether this one is literally trying to hook him out of place, or whether it's just a gentle little tail hug. This is a cute one as well.
I like the cat. Well, I've got a cat at home. I've got a grey cat, so cats are very close to my heart.
And of course, course, with these, any of them, you get in the pattern, which obviously means you can start off straight away. You've got all the elements you need. But of course, many of us have got additional fabrics that you could incorporate with these.
Definitely. And, you know, as you say, Hayley, you know, you've got the pattern there. So if you want to make more, or you think, oh, that's really lovely, and someone says, can I, and that's, I know some people have said to me, you know, before, oh, I made the kit and my friend really admired it, so I gave it to her and now I want to make another one, you know, so you can go on and make lots with them. And the other thing I would just draw your attention to as well is that not only do they work really well for beginners, but that I used to sell a lot of the kits, particularly to people that were maybe, can you remember the day we went away on holiday? You know, because it was a complete project that you can literally just pack with you and take away. And hopefully, you know, as we might not be going abroad this year, but if we are going to have a holiday, maybe in this country, it's a lovely project to take with you.
Even if you're just stitching in your back garden.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really, really easy. And the size of these, I think these are brilliant sizes. Now, I'm not into hanging quilts on my walls, but what I would do is use that in the panel of a bag.
Yes.
Because I think that's a piece of quilt art you could take with you anywhere then, couldn't you?
Or make it into a cushion, you know, you can really have some fun with it. I think that, as you say, the sky's the limit really, but they were designed just as little mini quilts and they are just very endearing, aren't they?
Again, if you want to do your hand quilting, you can do on the back there. It's showing how you can do that. So again, you're going to learn all those elements of quilting in one little kit there. So that one's £26.99, but don't forget, deal 10, it's going to bring it down in price. So make sure you are using that code. You can use that code, incidentally, on every single one of these kits. So if you do want to add multiples into your account, into your basket, should I say, when you come to check out your basket, use deal 10 and it will take 10% off the whole of your basket contents without the post and packing included. But you're going to be saving loads with these. Now, the last one, which I think is a really cute one as well, and this is a little bit of a nod to the community really where Kenny and Rachel live. And you can see here, what an adorable little layout here. These are so cute.
Do you know what? Sunbonnet Sue and Sam are just two absolute classic designs, aren't they? And they never go out of fashion. And they always remind me a little bit of Holly Hobby back in the 70s.
Yes,
do you remember the little girl with
a
little hat bonnet on?
Yes.
And I'll touch on, as you say, where they come from in America, which is, I think, really interesting as well. But that's just an absolute classic, the Sunbonnet Sue and Sam.
Absolutely gorgeous. And again, if you're wanting to go for Sue and Sam, that is the final one of your choices with regard to these. And again, we haven't gone through the instructions with these, but each one you are going to get your full colour booklet and you're going to have all the information, including your pattern there. Obviously, that's going to depict whichever of those projects you're going for. You're even going to be able to learn how to do your stitches there. So if you've never stitched before, never quilted before, then you are going to be able to buy in confidence. You're even going to learn how to do your mitered corners there. What a fabulous way of doing those. So yeah, all the way through there. We're getting very, very busy for these kits, folks. Just to reiterate, you've got everything that you need within these kits. All you need to do is have your scissors at hand and get your thread organised. That's all that you need to add in, which, let's face it, we've got tons of that, haven't we? So yeah, why not pop those in? Now, one little project that you might like to consider is this next one here. And this is if you do want a quilting project. So there's no applique involved with this one as it comes to you. But of course, that's down to you. You can change it if you're wanting to. But what a lovely layout. It almost looks a little bit like is it an Ohio square?
I think you're right.
Star, sorry.
Yeah, Ohio Star, isn't
Yeah.
it? Sort of with a log cabin, little block. It's clever, isn't it?
Very clever design. But a log cabin, it's one of the simplest quilt blocks for you to create. It's often one of the ones that, if I've got somebody that's completely new to quilting, this is one of the ones that I would teach them. Nice and easy, but again, everything that you need in here. So you're going to be making your whole little quilt using everything that's in here. So you've got your fabrics for obviously your piecing and your putting together. You've got your backing there. You've got your batting there as well for your quilting everything together. And then of course you've got your full instructions there explaining to you how you're going to cut all those pieces out. £29.99 is your price for this one, but again, don't forget, deal 10 will bring it down by nearly £3 at £2.99, which does make a difference with these. So 272309. So that is kind of the case. Anything that you're going for in this hour, you know that you've got everything within that bundle when it arrives, so you can buy with confidence with these. And as we mentioned, we were talking a little bit there just a few moments ago about one of those kits depicting the community that Rachel and Kenny come from. Well, they've been kind enough to share some photos. So Sue, talk us around what we're looking at here.
Oh, well, Rachel and Kenny live in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure a lot of people know that part of Pennsylvania is called Lancaster County, and they live within Lancaster County. And what Lancaster County is famous for is the Amish community, and a lot of people travel to this part of the world because I'm sure a lot of our viewers know what the Amish community is. There's a lot of it on TV, but basically it's a group of people who have their own religious belief, and they work basically not wanting to use anything mechanical, or sort of with electricity. So their homes don't have electricity. They work on hand crank sewing machines. They will ride buggies, as you can see there. They dress in a very modest way, and it's an absolutely fascinating part of the world that Rachel and Kenny live in. Now, they aren't actually Amish themselves, but a lot of their friends and acquaintances are Amish, and because of that, I think it reflects in Rachel's use of her colours. I think they're very sort of traditional American country colours, but I think they work sort of, they're classic, you know, in navy blue, red, rust, green, gold, those beautiful colours that are sort of timeless. And I think that's why her kits endure so well, because they don't come in and out of fashion. They are a sort of a classic country colour that we all love, you know, to see. So where they live in America is absolutely beautiful, and we were lucky enough to go and visit them in their house, and they took us out around the community, and we met some of their Amish friends, which were, it's just the most amazing place. It's like stepping back in time. Well, I would have said 200 years ago, until we went into lockdown here and the world changed a lot as we stopped driving our cars and worked more on our gardens. But the Amish community are absolutely fascinating. So I think, well, I've got a little bit of information, if it's okay, that Rachel very kindly sent me, which I just thought I wouldn't mind just reading out, if that's okay. For it. So the photographs you've seen. So Kenny and Rachel, they specialise in smaller plique and piece wall quilts. They've been in business for over 25 years, and I will just say that every piece of fabric Rachel and Kenny cut themselves. So all the cutting is done by themselves, and then the embellishments and bits and pieces then are collated, as I say, through the Lighthouse community. She says, I'm very grateful to live in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where weekend bike rides and long walks take me on back roads through meadows, fields and gardens abundant with flowers, crops, trees, birds and animals. They fill my mind with beauty and wonder. It is the simplicity of this earthiness, warmth and basic rootedness that inspires my designs. I draw the designs for each kit, write the instructions and choose the fabrics. After writing the instructions and patterns, I make the quilts and ornaments following the patterns and instructions to ensure they are accurate and precise. And then she says, there's some facts here. We've sent kits to wholesale accounts in more than 30 countries. We've cut 100 miles of, they say muslin, which we would call calico. We've cut more than 100 miles of gold string for their ornaments. Her workroom was a former bedroom in her house. And when they started their business, their children were 10 and 12 years old, and now their grandsons, or children I should say, are 6, 7, 8 and 9. So they've been in business a long, long time, and I think that also reflects, you know, in the quality of the instructions that you get. I think they're lovely, Hayley.
Absolutely adorable. So that is the key thing. If you want to get involved, of course, you've got all the instructions included, you've got the kits, everything is there on the website. So of course you can invest in any of these kits. Just pop them into your basket. The details are up on your screen for those little quilts that I was just showing you there while we were hearing the story. And we are very, very busy for these. So whether it's the succulents that you're wanting to go for, or whether it is that fabulous little hen. So the succulents, I mean, you've got lots of different felt fabrics working within here. And it is wool felt, that's the key thing. So we're talking quality with this. And 10% of the stock has gone of your succulents, and of course don't forget you're going to have the patterns that you may like a particular area of this and think I'm going to use that on the front of a needle case, or maybe you've got another project that would sit beautifully in. You're going to have all those instructions available to you. Another one of the ones that I love, and this is the one that we're going to see Sue working with in a few moments, is that lovely little spotty hen. You're liking your spotty hen. 30% of the stock has gone of this one, so very, very popular little item. Then of course you've got the fabulous little cats, and this is a cute one because your little cats there, 20% of the stock has gone with this one, so it is an adorable one. Just, if you can see me now, I'm just trying to, I can't quite reach the last one, so let me just bring that one in. There you go. My arms just weren't quite long enough, and this one is adorable. You will have so much fun with it. I love this one. Look at this little one here with the dungarees and a little fishing rod and a little fish there. The fabulous little flower, all of these elements, and this one is simply adorable. And again, 10% of the stock has gone of that one as well. So whichever you choose, you're wisely investing in a fabulous kit. And of course, it's a brand new company to us here at Hochanda. But those prices on your screen, please do not forget, you can see it at the bottom of your screen there, deal 10. Whenever you're checking your basket out during this hour, make sure you're quoting that code and you will save 10% on your purchases. We're going to head over to Sue now and see what Sue is up to, because I think you're going to be working with the Spotty hen, is that right?
I am. I'm going to just do some basic demonstration work on Spotty hen. I was very tempted to have a go on the succulents as well. I was like, which kit shall I work on? Because they're all really adorable, but I thought I'd go with the Spotty hen. So what I wanted just to start off, as I think I mentioned earlier, is what I love with Rachel's kits is you've got a chance to explore different avenues within the quilting world. So the first thing we do is we're going to do a little bit of piecing, and then we're going to do a little bit of very easy applique, and then we're going to touch on some hand quilting as well. So now I will hold my hand up here and say I am not an accurate piecer, and I'm not trying to, you know, make myself out to be clever. I'm really not that great at piecing. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to follow Rachel's instructions carefully, and I'm going to see how I get on. So straight away on the back page you've got a cutting guide, and all the fabrics are laid out in there, and they're very, very easy to identify because there's a really good photograph on the front. So I cut, as Rachel told me to, my various parts for the background fabric, because the background is pieced. And I wanted just to show to you as well, this is what was left over. So the kits are generous, and you'll have some scraps left over at the end. And now I haven't fully cut into this because this is for the binding as well. So I would also just say is read the instructions and just cut the kits as Rachel tells you, because obviously she's allowed for the longer pieces from the fabric first. But everything's really, really well. I was so happy as I was making it yesterday because it all went together perfectly. Which is not like me at all, as I say.
It takes the pressure off when that happens,
I
doesn't
know,
it? Because you start enjoying it then.
I'm a great one for I'll cut it and then it will trim it up at the end. But she says, no, you know, cut it this length and sew it and sew it. And she even tells you which way to press the seams to as well. So basically yesterday, in about 20 minutes, I had made up this little background piece here, which is on the background for the Spotty hen. So if I just bring the picture forward, perfect. You can see. And what I think is really clever with the piecing is it sort of frames the work really nicely as well. So you can sort of, at a glance, when you're coming to place your applique projects, you can see how they all fit on really, really nicely. And also, as you said, Hayley, you get your calico. Now, the Americans do have a couple of different names. They were called calico muslin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know why, but they call it muslin. So if you notice that in your pattern, you think, well, what's muslin? Because we think of muslin as being very fine, don't we?
Exactly, yes.
When you drain sort of fruit and things. So that's the muslin. And the other thing that you'll find is this is referred to as batting. And again, a lot of people would know this anyway, but this is wadding. And I will just quickly, before I will get on to demonstrating, I promise. But I wanted just to draw your attention to the fact it's a needle punched polyester wadding.
So what does that mean?
It's perfect for hand sewing.
Oh, I see.
Hand quilting.
Okay.
You try and hand quilt through cotton wadding and your hands are going to be really sore after about 10 minutes. And it's hard to hand quilt through cotton wadding. It's not really designed for hand. But this has really been designed if you want to have a go at hand quilting. It will also take a machine as well, but I'd say they've put it in there especially. So give that some thought especially. So I assembled my background piece. My cornerstone blocks are all perfectly aligned. And now I'm going to have some fun because here is the big master template, and this is all folded up inside the pattern. Excuse me. So you open it up and you've straight away got your guide that you're going to work on, and then also around the edge you can see here I've got all of the pieces. Now because the applique is wool felt, you really don't have to worry about turning anything over. When we were I was demonstrating on the earlier show, because we were using Bonder web, everything was reversed for you. Don't have to worry with the wool felt. So everything is here, and it tells you also what the actual little piece is, which is also helpful. And the other thing it does is it tells you what felt to cut it from as well. So you've absolutely got no problems there identifying it all. It's extremely easy. So the only difference I would say that I just thought would make life easier for me, and it's just something for you to consider at home, is I thought it'd be a real shame to actually cut the whole pattern piece up, because Rachel recommends cut the the little templates out, place them on your felt, draw around them and then cut them out. But I have personally always found it a little bit easier to work with freezer paper. Now this isn't included in the kit, so it might be something that you want to think about buying if you're interested. But the beauty with the freezer paper is you don't have to draw around the edge, so you're not spoiling any of your felt because you're going to iron the design on temporarily, and then you can cut it out and peel it back. So I have used freezer paper a lot in the past, but for anybody that's not familiar with it, it's a product we use a lot in quilting, and it's just a temporary hold, if you like. So what I did was I placed my freezer paper, and there's a shiny side and a dull side, and I just placed my dull side down on top and just traced around the design and then cut it out exactly, and then I just lightly ironed that onto my felt, and that's just held it then, and then I can cut it out. Now, what I would recommend that you do is have a look at all your pieces and just make sure that everything fits in just as it should do. There's plenty of felt there, but just be aware, you know, don't go cutting this out in the middle. You've got to think about, you know, where you place your pieces. And if you use the freezer paper, you can do that with an iron. If you prefer to cut your template out and then stick it and then pin it down and draw around it, that's also fine. But I would recommend cut them all out, place everything down so that you know you've got plenty of felt to get you started.
So
Am I going too fast?
No, you did. They're fine, very comprehensive. But it's just something that I forgot to ask right at the very beginning, which I probably should have asked. If anybody's wanting to make these up and actually sell what they've created, is that okay?
I would think so. I haven't actually double checked that with Rachel, and that's a very, very good question. And one, I'm not entirely sure how the copyright would work with it being an American company. So
okay, we'll see if we can find out. It's just something
it would be
I'd ask in case you knew.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't like to say because it's not with our patterns. I get the girls' permission that we can do it. But
I don't know what time it is out in Lancaster County, but if you are watching,
I think it's about 4 in the morning.
studio@hochanda.com. So Kenny or Rachel, if you're watching, just drop us an email and let us know.
It doesn't say. It doesn't actually say in the pattern. Sometimes it will say in the pattern, you know, it can only be used.
It usually says if you can't, doesn't it?
Yes,
more
I was going to say it's more a
yeah.
restriction. And having a quick look through here, I can't actually see that she does
okay, don't worry.
say
we'll,
it.
We'll see what we can find out, don't worry.
Hayley, yes, one if we can find it out. And if I can find it out, I can also put it up on my website later when I speak to them. And then people, if they're a little bit unsure, could.
Lovely.
Or they can email me and I can email Rachel and ask her. So that's absolutely fine. Okay, so. Are we all okay still?
Yeah, we're all,
that's good.
yeah. I almost feel like I'm peering into the little chicken coop here, because it does look like the little kind of area you're peering into.
I was so tempted to actually work on the succulents because I really fancied having those on my wall. They're so sweet.
But with a 10% discount, you could be tempted, couldn't you? Because if you're saving 10% on this one, bringing it down by £2.96, and then you're saving 10% on your succulents as well, those two savings together make quite a considerable difference, don't they, to those prices? So yeah, same item number, no additional person packing.
Definitely. And also the other thing as well, I've sold a lot of kits over the years, also to young people that want to have a go at quilting. You know, maybe youngsters that haven't got a stash. And the other thing as well, they also make lovely presents. So if you've got a friend that quilts, they are a really good price point for a lovely present if you wanted to spoil them. So that's really nice. I just wanted also just to say as well that in this kit, Rachel has included some of the embroidery threads, and I think you'll probably find on the succulents, Hayley, there's quite a few embroidery threads there. So any embroidery work, they will actually include the embroidery thread, but your general utility thread for stitching stuff down isn't included in there.
So it's almost like a decorative look, isn't it?
Exactly,
on the top.
exactly. Yeah, definitely. So sorry, I meant to mention that earlier and I didn't, so forgive me for that. So I have cut all my bits out of freezer paper. Now again, I keep on about freezer paper, but what I'm now going to do is I haven't spoilt my pattern. I can reuse the freezer paper, so if I want to make them again, I can sort of just iron the templates down and I'm off again. And I would keep them all in a little bag together with my pattern. So if I did want to make them again, I can do. But as I say, if you don't want to do that, just cut them out and just keep them safely, because we'll be making more than one, I'm sure. Now, I've done a fair bit of applique, but again, I'm always ready to learn. And so again, what Rachel points out with the pattern is if there's anything there, any piece of applique that has to be tucked into your work, there's a little dotted line. Now, she's already allowed for that when you actually come to cut the piece out. So don't think, oh, I've got to add that on. Just cut it out as she says. And if there's an extra little bit there, she's already accounted for that, which I think is very helpful. So I was sort of thinking when I was going to start making my little hen up yesterday, I thought, well, I might just start at the bottom, and I'm going to use just use the pattern as a little guide. So his little feet probably would go about here and here, and I can have a little play with this. I don't have to sort of, you know, it's not nothing stuck down, so you can sort of have a little fiddle until you're happy with it, really. And that seems to go there. So I'm just using the pattern roughly just to eyeball or where it's supposed to go. And what I love about this little pattern is the little spots on the chicken. It's so sweet, isn't it?
Adorable.
It's really nice. So I'm just having fun, and nothing's stuck down yet, so nothing's committed. I can have a little play around. I don't have to put the spots where Rachel's suggested. I could put them wherever I wanted to, or I can follow her guide. It's entirely up to you. Now with this one, there's already been a little bit of an allowance here. There's a little little dotted line on the pattern, so I know that that's going to fit over perfectly, and just.
And that's a very clever construction in a pattern there, because you might think to yourself, oh, you'd have the base would be the entire chicken.
Yes.
Because if you're hand stitching, that means that you're going through layers that you don't necessarily want to, which makes it harder for you to sew. So Rachel has cut that part away because it makes it easier for you stitching it together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, if you really want to be very pedantic about this and absolutely have everything in the same point that you wanted, you could always just use the template and just trace around it, and then you could just use the tracing just on top to make sure you're absolutely, you know, where you want it all to be. But I think, you know, a little bit of serendipity is quite fun, and it is a little bit like a jigsaw, really. To be honest, Hayley, you just start sort of putting the little pieces. So that just gets tucked under there. I can see that just.
Now, is that the comb? Is that the comb that they have on? Is it comb on the top? I think it is.
Waddle or waddle or something. I think they're called.
Yeah, I think that's a bit underneath, isn't it? I think. Yeah,
exactly.
We are checking out our kind of our knowledge of chickens.
It's all good fun, isn't it? And here's another spot. So I think I might just put that final little spot up here. Okay. Now, I know I'm not supposed to do this yet, but actually, I don't think the chicken comes alive. A bit like in the robins on the 7 o'clock show this morning. They don't come alive till you actually put that little eye on. So I'm going to just put her eye in place, and then you can just see straight away.
Oh, wow.
She's got a little personality now, hasn't she?
Absolutely
it's looking really
adorable.
pretty, isn't it?
Beautiful.
So.
It just comes together so beautifully, doesn't it?
Honestly,
really
I can't tell you how quickly I worked on this yesterday, because I was getting the demos ready, and I did allow myself, you know, quite a few hours, but literally I'd made the top in about half an hour, and, you know, within an hour I almost had it ready to start stitching, which I was thrilled about.
I love it. Now, so is it okay with you if I just do a very, very quick recap, because we've been very busy, and I think our guys at home probably do with a few little updates on this one, and our fabulous little Spotty hen. This is the first one. Over half the stock has gone of this one. You can see why I wanted to give you a little bit of an update. Don't forget, deal 10, bringing that price down by a further 10%. So that is the kit that we have been working on with our lovely Sue. The Succulents, which is the one that she was very tempted to have a go at. This one, over 20% of the stock has gone. So don't forget, you're going to get all your fabrics and also your batting and your backing as well, which in your pattern will be described as muslin, but what they're referring to is the calico that you've got on the back there. So that one is your Succulents. The Putty Cats, you're loving your little cats as well. 30% of your cats have gone. So if that is your preference, the kit with the little kitty cats in there. And then the final one that you've got is the wonderful one with the little girl and the boy in there, and a quarter of the stock has gone off that one as well. So very, very busy for all of those different kits there. So 497.918 if you're wanting those. £26.99. Brilliant value for money. We're going to head over and have a little look at the quilt kit as well. Just very briefly, we're going to get get back to Sue any moment now, so don't worry, we're not going to go too far. Yes, it's one of those things that if you're wanting those sets, then do add those into your basket. But of course, we have got more to share with you with the wonderful little log cabin. I mean, this is one of those ones that it's fabulous looking up close at it, but isn't it dramatic when you look at it from a distance? I mean, that looks amazing. And of course, what you've learnt within this one panel, when you're using your own fabrics, you could actually come in and replicate that 3 or 4 times to actually turn it into a full-size bed quilt. I'd say 3 across, maybe 4 down would make a nice single bed quilt, maybe a little bit of additional fabric in there, or even make it a little bit larger. But what a lovely way. You started off with those little centre squares, building up your log capping around them, a very traditional style quilt. But again, you've got enough in there to create your little quilt piece. It's 22 centimetres square, really good size. And again, it's one of those ones that's very manageable. You could be doing your piecing, putting your pieces together with your sewing machine, and then going back in and hand quilting everything if you want to do. Or again, you could do your kind of stitch in the ditch and actually go over the top of that. Love this little bit of hand quilting in the corners there, though, those lovely little flowers made out of hearts. Beautiful. Extended delivery with everything that we've been speaking of, because as we spoke of, Rachel's of Greenwoods and Greenfield, should I say, are based overseas. They're in America, so it's an extra 8 days with regard to your shipping on these ones. So 2723009. But we're going to head back over to Sue, and I think, are we still talking chickens? I think we are.
We're still on the chickens for the moment, if that's
Lovely,
okay. And
that's
I will
fine,
move on.
yeah.
I've got a little demo for the log cabin as well, which I'll try and squeeze in before the hour's up, because I think that's a lovely little project as well. So of course, I know I probably didn't mention this earlier, but it is quite obvious, I would say, is that because we're working with felt, we don't have to worry about a seam allowance, don't have to worry about any of the edges fraying. You just do cut it out. So again, if you're a beginner, this is such a nice, gentle way to start applique and see whether you enjoy it. Now, Rachel recommends, if you want to, before you start sewing, you can pin the pieces in place, but I would say if you have got access to some fabric glue, it's not a bad idea just to put a couple of dots of fabric glue just obviously under your applique here, and it will just hold it in place. Then you haven't got to worry about pinning it. It's all held down nicely, and there's loads of different products on the market, so find the one that you like. I wouldn't go too mad overboard with it, because otherwise it can be a bit challenging if you're going to hand sew through it if you've overglued it. So just be sparing. I've done that. I'd say I've got the T-shirt, Hayley. You know, any mistake that could be made, I have done it. Hand up here. So what I was going to just quickly talk about now is I would now start sewing this. Now, if you're a machinist, you are very welcome to have a go on the sewing machine. There's loads of different decorative stitches. You can have a go. But if you really want to make this a hand project, which I think it lends itself to really nicely, particularly with the felt, is you can do some hand stitching. And the only thing that Rachel specifies very sensibly is you do have to make sure that your stitch goes in at least 1/8 of an inch into the felt, because you just want it held in place. If it's too close to the edge, there's a little chance it might just pull out, and I've found that sometimes with the felt as well. So you just have to make the stitch a bit more dominant and a bit more prominent, if you like. So that's just what I would do. So I was playing around with some hand stitches yesterday, thinking, oh, you know, what would I do? And I started off with the basic sort of buttonhole stitch, which I thought was quite nice, and I thought I could do a little zigzag stitch maybe. That might look a little bit like a sort of feather edge as well. If I didn't want to do that, I could just do a little running stitch around the edge, and it will make it a bit more whimsical and folky. Or then I even had a little idea like a little chevron stitch. So I was just having some fun playing. But I will just basically show you how I do a buttonhole stitch. And I am left-handed, so apologies to anybody out there who's right-handed. And I've tried, but I cannot do it right-handed. So bear with me. That's okay. But what people say to me is, how do you start buttonhole stitch? Where do you start it? Because you think you want to start it in, and I've for hours I've pondered over it. So I think I've cracked it. I'll give it a go anyway. So what I do is I'm going to bring my thread up on the edge of the work, which is sort of counterintuitive to where you think it would be. So it's going to just go on the edge there. And I'm sorry, I'm just using a basic cotton thread, but this is actually an opportunity as well for you to use one of your lovely decorative threads if you've got some at home. home, you know, you can use a slightly thicker thread, and then obviously it will make much more of a feature of the applique rather than just trying to hide it. Or if you prefer for it not to be seen, then you can just use a matching thread and it will just basically disappear and sink into the felt. So without further ado, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to just bring my needle down and bring it up here, and I'm making sure that little loop is just behind my stitch, and by doing that I tend to find that that's quite a good start for the buttonhole stitch. Can you see there? It's just sort of bedded in quite nicely there. And then the next thing I would do then is just try and keep it straight and even, really. It doesn't matter if they're big, it's just trying to keep it even, which is, again, a bit like when I was doing the red work this morning. You sort of need a few stitches to get into the rhythm of it. And it's as simple as that, and you just keep going around and around.
One of my favourite hand stitches, that one. I do like that little hand stitch. I think it's one of the ones that I learnt way back at school when it was probably kind of juniors or maybe infants. And we used to do little kind of embroidered pencil cases and things like that. And I just think it's a really neat little applique stitch.
It is. It's a really lovely little. I just missed the loop out there. It's a lovely. Do you know what? It was kind of funny. I found my mum's old work basket. It was in one terrible thing to say. I sort of popped it in the back of one of our sheds, which I'd sort of forgotten about, and I found it out. And I remember she kept a little needle case that I'd done some embroidery on when I was about 5 or 6. I was like, oh, and all the things were rusty, so I had to pull them all out. I was like, I did that stitch. I was like, I remember making that needle case for her, and I loved embroidery even then. So,
and this is the thing. I mean, you're stitching memories, aren't you, with these? I mean, this could be something that you're doing just by yourself for your own pleasure, or it might be that you're teaching a young sewer, because I know in schools sometimes they can be a bit more academic and they don't tend to do these kind of creative elements within the education system. So this is something, or maybe it's just something that a special time for you and a grandchild, or you and a niece or a nephew, that you create and you stitch together, and you're making that kind of little piece that's going to have all those memories for years to come.
Definitely. I mean, and sadly at the moment, I mean, you know, a lot of children, of course, there's no school, is there, at the moment? So I think a lot of children are a little bit bored or, you know, a little bit fed up because they can't obviously get to school.
And they just love getting involved with sewing, so many of them.
It is. So you can just see here, I'm not doing a particularly grand job of it. I have to say I probably would sit at home and take a bit more time. And if I was going to probably just, I might actually use a slightly thicker thread if I was going to do this myself, because I think I'd quite like to make a feature of it.
It adds the piece personality, if you know what I mean. If you've got those kind of little quirky bits in there, maybe things aren't absolutely true. I just think it gives it a bit of a nice feel.
And then if I didn't want to do, as I say, if I thought I might do a little running stitch, I might just do a tiny little stitch, as I say, make it a little bit more whimsical, and I might just come in about 1/8 of an inch and then just go backwards and forwards in that way, and just do a little running stitch around it instead. So you don't have to do, you know, Rachel just basically says, you know, here are some ideas, but, you know, as I say, it's your project, you know, you can do with it whatever you feel like doing, really.
You're so right. I mean, when I last went on holiday to Turkey, one of my breakaway projects, I used to sit in the morning coffee, and I'd do a little bit of quilt as you go, just little tiny projects that I took with me. And it's just a nice way to kind of just sit and relax. So it could be in a conservatory, it could be in your back garden, perhaps you've got a favourite chair or a favourite spot that you like to go to. What a lovely way for you to work with. Lovely. Thank you so much for that, Sue.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's just as simple as that, as easy as that. And it doesn't have to be any more complicated than you want to make it. But of course, if you're wanting to get hold of these kits, you're going to have to be quick, because you are in very good company with them. They're fabulous kits. And just to reiterate, if you've just joined us, we are introducing a brand new company to you here at Hochanda. It's an American-based company, so straight away we're looking at extended delivery of only 8 days, which I think is brilliant. These kits are all ready to go, so they will be on their way to you. And yeah, this is the key thing. You will be able to get these home and be able to craft the moment they arrive, because you've got everything that you need in them. So this is the panel you're going to be making with this particular kit, and it will be the same with all the other kits. You're going to get your backing fabric, which in the instructions is referred to as muslin, but we know it as calico. You're going to get your wadding, which is obviously that kind of sponginess in the middle, and that will be referred to as batting within your pattern. And then you're going to have all of your wool applique pieces in there, as well as your pattern that will allow you to cut those out. So all you're really needing is a pair of scissors, a needle and thread, and then you are good to go. And let's face it, most of us have got those in our homes. And this is it, everything has been cut, ready for you to go. Now, of course, lovely Rachel and Kenny, they cut all of the fabrics. They get involved with the local community, and they employ some of the local residents there to actually put these kits together. So some of them, it's probably a little production line. Some of them will be folding and putting them together. Some of them will be putting the threads together and knotting those like so. So everybody gets involved, and it's paid work for them as well, which means that I think it's a lovely way for kind of spreading the love of these kits. Of course, you've got your instructions, which when you come to make your kit up, they are something that is key, and follow those to the letter. Rachel has created these knowing the way that these work, so just follow where she says cut out and what she says to cut out in whichever order. Follow that and you will have more than enough fabric for you to cover your projects. So that one's your succulents if you want in that one. The details on your screen there, 497918. The only thing I would addition is that, say in addition, put your teeth in, Hayley. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen we spun deal 10. Make sure you're using that. You'll save yourself £2.69 on that kit. And that's the same with your Spotty hen. Now this one, oh my goodness, you need urgency if this is the one that you're wanting to get hold of, because 3/4 of the stock has gone. So you need to get involved with this one now. 2 reasons. Of course, the 10% discount that I've just told you, but we're up against the stock with regards to this one as well. So you could well miss out on this one. We've only got one show today with Rachel's of Greenfields, and we certainly will only have one show with that 10% saving. Next time we see these, maybe in months to come, we don't know, but you won't be having that discount because we spun the wheel. It's a deal wheel event. It's running through till Monday, 6 o'clock. So again, you've got everything that you need within that kit, and that one is your fabulous little hens. Now, perhaps you want to create yours with your little cats. Well, we can help you with that one because the little kitty cats are so cute. Have a look at these. They're beautiful. I love these little hearts featuring around the edge. And don't forget, if you go for all 4 of these, then they could end up being quilt panels, couldn't they, if you wanted to? Because they are a good size to work with. So a nice way for you to stitch each one of them, and then maybe don't bind them, stitch them together and make them into a larger quilt. Again, you've got everything that you need in there, even including the little elements that you can need, little tiny buttons for their eyes, and of course all the embroidery thread for the little whiskers is included as well. So £26.99 again, saving £2.69 if you quote deal 10. Last one that I need to share with you, which again is adorable. Look at this, so sweet. These are really cute. We've got Sue and Sam featuring here, and I love this because you've got little Sam there with his little fishing rod, taking home what he's caught for the day. And here you go, look at that, going off into the sunset, holding hands. Again, everything is included within your kit, and again, please do use that deal 10 to save your 10% on that one as well. So again, 497918. Now we're going to head back over to see Sue in just a few moments. We've got one more kit that I need to share with you, and this is the one that she's going to be demonstrating next. And this one is for your log cabin quilt. It's a nice little quilt panel, this one. It's 22 inches square. A fabulous little panel to be creating as a little wall hanging potentially. But this could be your first ever project that you're having a go at quilting. Log cabin, a very traditional block. And the beauty of log cabin is once you know how to do it, you can do this to whatever size you want to create. That centre square always being kind of the home fire. That's where the traditional story kind of comes from. There's many traditional stories there, as you can imagine. And then you're building up those log cabin blocks around, arranging them to create that almost star-shaped formation there. And of course, that again could be just one set that you're creating before you start making additional ones to make it into a quilt. Now, you have got enough there to make your one quilt block. If you're wanting to go for 4 of these, maybe to make a quilt pieces, then you can do this. You're almost making your own quilt kit then. £29.99. But again, deal 10 will save you nearly £3 with these, so make sure you are using that, especially if you are choosing to go for multiples to make it into a quilt top. So 272309 is the item number with that one. We're going to head back over to Sue in a few moments, but something I need to tell you. Oh, our fabulous Spotty hen's gone green. Well, not the hen itself, but it's going green on your screen because it is now limited in stock. So if you do want to get hold of that particular kit, you need to do it quickly to take advantage of the saving that you've got there. So yeah. We've got about 8 minutes left, so we're going to head back over to see Sue. She's going to be working on that log cabin set, so we're going to change those details around. And Sue, what do we need to know about this kit?
It's funny, I've not done log cabin this way before, and I was a bit dubious because piecing's not my strong point, and I don't want to make a fool of myself. But I thought I'll have a go, and you know what? It actually did work, so I'm so thrilled. Not that I doubt Rachel at all, because I know her work's beautiful.
You know what? It's nice though sometimes to learn a different way to do something.
Absolutely.
Putting zips in, there's so many different techniques of putting zips in, and you'll find one that is just the way you want to do it, and that's the way that you'll use forever. And I think that's nice that you're learning a new way with a new project.
Yeah, it was really clever. So I've just got the little kit here that I just borrowed, because what I just wanted to draw attention to is how nicely these kits are put together. So Rachel and Kenny have even thought about the order in which you've got your log cabin. So you've got your lighter cream and your lighter blue, your medium beige and your medium blue, and then your darker beige and your darker blue, because that's really what makes the log cabin start to sing as you come out. The colours get darker.
So is this how it arrives? It looks as beautifully laid out as this.
Exactly like, as I say, honestly,
oh my goodness.
These lovely people at the Lighthouse Charity just spend so long making the kits look beautiful. And I know how long kits take, because I spend hours making them up as well. You know, so I do appreciate the work that goes into this. And everything's folded and put beautifully into the little pack. So yeah, that's how it will come. Now the fabrics just may vary from Rachel's original, but actually, you know, they're as close to the original as is possible, and I think these are absolutely stunning. So what she does is, again, tells you how many logs that you cut from each of the colourways. And obviously the smaller ones, you don't need as much fabric, which is why you've only got a small amount here. And then when you get to the bigger logs on the out sort of skirts of the block, you need a slightly more fabric, which is why that's how it's all been worked out for you. So she tells you very easily, you know, what size to cut, how many to cut. And what I would just say is, when I was making the log cabin, I just cut everything out here. Now I've used my own fabrics because I didn't want to cut into Rachel's kit here, so they are slightly different, but I have tried to stick with the blue and beige colourway. So I basically followed what she told me to do and how to cut it, and I laid it all out so I know the sequence and I'm not going to get anything wrong. So that's just me, but I'm sure you're all a lot brighter and cleverer than I am at home at doing things like this.
These are all good tips. These are good ways of getting started. So thank you for sharing.
So as I say, I had a go, and I was delighted because there's my little log cabin, and it's looking really cute, isn't it? I love this block. As you say, it's the log, the dark and the light, isn't it? And the red centres for the hearth, isn't it? So it's lovely. So I'm going to now put the next log on. So I'm now on, and basically you're working, sorry, I should have said this. You basically work around in the round. So you start with the small beige to the red, and then the next size beige, then the next size blue, and this is all the lights here. And now the next row is the mediums, and now I'm going to go for the last row, which is the slightly darker one.
Sue, can I share a tip with you? You may well be aware of this one, but somebody told me this one, and it's not that long ago, and it's like a light bulb moment. When you're doing your log cabin, when you have a little look at your block, you'll notice that on a certain point, and in the case of yours, it's the top edge, you've got two seams. The two seams are the indicator as to where your next piece of fabric goes. I've never noticed before.
How clever is that? Thank you, Hayley.
So I found that really useful, just in case you come away from it and then you go back to your project. Look out for the two little lines, whichever side it is, and that's where your next piece is stitched.
Yes, of course. There's a seam here and a seam here. Thank you. Whoever gave you that tip, that was brilliant. Thank you, Hayley. I'll take that one, and I'm going to now try and sew as nicely as I did before I was on live TV. Always goes wrong, doesn't it? You can absolutely guarantee as eggs is eggs.
Now, don't forget, Sue is going to be back with us. While she's sewing, she won't be able to hear me speaking to you. But yeah, don't forget, Sue is going to be back with us at 11 o'clock with Daisy Chain Crafts. If you did catch the show at 7 o'clock this morning, we will have different products featuring, and some of them will complement the kits that we were looking at earlier on. So I do urge you to join us, because we are going to have loads of fun. We're going to be able to see the little caravan's going to be back, a brand new kind of Dresden plates theme cushion as well, so you definitely need to stay tuned for that one.
Now, I haven't turned my iron on, Hayley, and I know we're fighting a little bit against time, so I won't put the iron on now. But can you see, now I've sewn the little log, so what Rachel tells you to do is just to press it back. And it's probably, if you've got a little ironing station next to it, it's worthwhile just keeping that little ironing station together and just going, because I think it's quite a handy thing. And then you get into good habits, don't you, of practicing. So then you just would then iron that down, and then working to the next one. I would, and now I haven't pressed this, so I'm not behaving myself, but now taking your
okay,
tip.
don't worry.
2 seams together, I like that, that's a brilliant one. And just, can you see how nicely they all add, you know, they all line up because of her careful cutting directions. She's ace.
Now we are up against it. What sort of time have we got left? We've got about 2.5 minutes.
Oh,
Sue,
crikey.
So
Right.
don't worry. You stitch as much as you're able to.
I'll
Don't
just do
worry.
this as well. I just wanted to talk about the hand quilting because I know a lot of people are a little bit wary of hand quilting, and if you're going to have a go at the project, that is the one to have a go at. Now, from the front of some of those quilts, Hayley, you probably wouldn't notice that they've particularly been quilted, would you? Because they don't necessarily the quilting's not the star of the show.
Yes.
The applique is, if you like. But what I think is really nice is that if you go around the edge of the applique with the quilting stitch as close to the applique as you can, what that then does is it helps to puff the actual applique up, and it just gives the chicken a little bit more dimension, and that's entirely done by the quilting on it, which I think is really a really nice feature. But if you did want to go and really have some fun with the quilting, then, as I say, the log cabin block is absolutely beautiful. And what I also meant to mention as well, and I completely forgot, sorry Rachel, forgive me, is Rachel's a great authority in Amish quilts. So a lot of the designs, and she's written books all about the Amish quilts and the community and things like that. So a lot of her designs are taken from some of those original Amish designs as well, which I think is, you know, hearts and designs like that, and some of the straight lines. And
I need to research Rachel and Kenny, because this is fabulous. You're delving into, it's kind of the true heritage of quilting, where quilting pretty much began really within the homes.
Definitely.
And kind of taking the little scraps of fabric that were from clothing and all sorts of different areas. So thank you so much for your demonstration, showing us obviously how that log cabin builds up. And as Sue was showing you, you are building it up from that centre square, which is the kind of the heart of the home, and then you're building up your light and your dark around. So just those little rectangles that Sue was stitching, you continue doing that in the formation that Rachel explains to you, and then you will make your block. Now each one of these blocks is identical, it just depends on the rotation of them as to how they all come together. But don't worry, Rachel explains everything to you. She's such a fabulous teacher, and of course our lovely Sue's been working with her for many years. She won't mind me sharing that. So thank you so much. Give us a wave. We're going to say goodbye to you.
Enjoy your kits, everyone.
Oh, they certainly will, and there's a lot of work going out there. And I hope you are ready, Rachel. Again, you've got a lot of packing to do. We will see you back here, obviously myself and Sue, at 11 o'clock, so I hope we can count on your company. But please do not go anywhere. We have got lots more for you to see here at Hochanda. Got the lovely Fee in the building, so stay tuned. We've got lots more coming up. I'll tell you what to expect in just a moment.